What's up, legends? I am so excited to show this video to you today. We're going to be talking about the CPU mining motherboard stacker. I think that's what we're going to call it. There's going to be a couple videos on this. This is the first of probably 2 or 3. We'll get the naming conventions ironed out, but this is what we're building. This is what we've got. It's a motherboard stacker for CPU mining. You could also do compute workloads on these if you want to throw like graphics cards. This is what it looks like. Yeah, this is going to be pretty sweet. So you know, saving space is always good by going up, and a lot of the CPU rigs, CPU mining rigs that I see online that people are using suck. This is what they look like. A lot of them look like this, 3D printed, power supply in the back, and they just go on here, and they're fine, right? They're not bad, but if you are doing a lot of CPU mining and you want to save some space, because this is pretty chunky, right? But with the motherboard stacker, you go straight up. You're gonna save a lot of space. So yeah, we're gonna say bye-bye to this edition. We want something that's gonna be modular, you can add on to, stack up, save some space. So if you're ready to check this out and you're ready for the ride, let's go. All right, legends, so let's check out the parts here. First of all, we've got the motherboard bracket. Each corner is labeled 1, 2, 3, and 4. And these are going to correspond with the motherboard legs. And as you can see, they will be labeled right in here. And they will all say 1, 2, 3, and 4. The reason why we got to do that is because this one has to be specifically here. Just because this pin has to be this certain one right here to match the motherboard. And we also have these other pins. These will go on the other corners like this. And then, like I said, this one will go here. And so if you look at the holes here, the motherboard has to line up in this one and only one way direction, because the way the holes line up, you cannot turn this motherboard and light it up here. Just like with any PC case, it's got to go in a certain position. And so that's what we've got here. And I guess the real main reason why this is like this is I had to still make this kind of insert to secure the leg, but I also needed that pin right here. And then these are the pins that secure. So once you get like the pin in there, and this is for leg 4. We've got leg 4 here. We're gonna pop it in and it slides in just like that. And then you've got the longer pins. Wow. You've got the longer pins and they just go in just like this. Pin goes in, bam. And these pins were interesting to make because I was trying to be as purist as I could and trying to do all filament and no hardware, external hardware like screws, bolts, nuts, or anything like that. And so I really tried, and I think I succeeded on that. I did print these pins with the layer lines going this way, so they won't shear off, and like, I'm bending these pretty hard. Like, you'd have to literally intentionally break these. So we also have the feet, and these are just extra feet for the bottom, for the very bottom one that is gonna be sitting on the ground, and then obviously the rest will stack on top. We'll just go ahead and start putting this together. Let's get this over here. Let's do number 1 here. Get this one, the specific one for slot 1. There we go. Long pin. Long pins are at the bottom. Short pins are going to be at the top. They will connect the multiple motherboards. And it goes in. Bam. Let's get number 3 here. Pin. Make sure the holes aligned going this way, that way. Pin. Done. And they do stay in there pretty well. They won't fall out. I made the tolerances pretty tight, pretty slim. So they're in there. They're pretty solid. And if you see at the end of the pin here, there's a little bit, this 3 millimeters right here is a little bit wider than the rest of the pin. So this right here is a pretty snug fit. And then there's a little bit bulge on the end, so that's gonna keep the pin within the channel there. So here, and align the hole, pin, bam. So that's what they look like once they're installed. That's the back end. And I try to make this aesthetically pleasing too, so I went like black on yellow pins, make it a little bit more interesting. And I, of course, rounded all these, make it a more premium feel, so they're not like square edges on all these right here. These are all rounded. So like I said, I was trying to make it as aesthetically pleasing as possible while worrying about the strength and engineering of the entire project. And we'll just get these things popped on. And these aren't really secured. They're kind of just pressure fit. And the layer lines help them stay. And with these being printed this way, there's a little bit of extra filament left over from the build plate, which actually works in favor of keeping these on, because they'll just even better like stick into those layer lines, and they don't come off. Like, you can pull them off, but they're not coming off freely. Okay, so first deck done. And it looks a little bit wobbly now, but that's because it's not secured with another deck. So let's get that deck built. And let's see, pin 1. I'm really not sure what to call these two, because these are pins, obviously, right? And then these are kind of pins as well. So I don't know if I really need to worry about the naming convention, but for time being, these are all pins. They're just of different types. Go. Pops right in. Number 2 down here. Pin. Other pin. Pops in. 3. Pops in. Number 4, last one. And last pin pops in. Bam, done. So now we're gonna take the bottom deck and we're gonna secure the top deck to it. And these should just slide right in. They're not too tough to get in, just like that. And then we will secure these this top deck here with these little pins. That's these guys here, a little bit shorter, and they will just go right in here. Oops, if I can kind of get coordinated here. There we go. These ones are a little bit tougher to push in, but I think it's fine. I do want to make sure this does security here, so I want to make sure there wasn't too much slack within that within the two different decks here. Okay, here we go. That's good. This one done. And these pins pop right out. They're not, whoops, they aren't final. They can easily pop right out. You just get your finger in there, push it, and see how it's coming out. And if you need to, you can grab a screwdriver, kind of get a little bit of pressure here, and then just ease it out a little bit, and bam, you're done. But like I said, they are made to like be snug in there, but are removable. And I'll probably send these out with a few extra pins just in case you lose some, in case they do break for some reason. You know, things happen. So definitely probably send a whole set. So like you'll get 4 long pins, 4 short pins per set. I'll probably just double that, so you'll get 8 and 8. I think that's probably the best bet. And bam. And this is, let's see if I can get this all the way in the camera here. This is it. This desk is plastic, so it's not the best showing for this, but this ain't going nowhere. Like, you would have to really kick the crap out of this or knock it over or just be totally irresponsible with your mining stuff. So that's how this works. And I probably just made my first mistake with this. Oh no, I can get it in there. Cool. So you probably want to put the motherboard on first, because then you're gonna have to like angle it in there, but I think we might be able to get this to work. Make sure I line these holes up. So this one goes in this way. There we go. And pops right on there. And I was gonna make these shorter, because if you look at this, there's like a lot of extra room in here, right? But I was thinking, just in case you want to throw a GPU in here for whatever, if you're mining like Salad or AI compute workloads or anything like that, you have that option. So I think this is a good height. I'll probably offer shorter legs to where they just clear this. So you could almost stack two within this space. So that'll probably be an option. So you can, you know, if you're just strictly CPU mining, you don't care about the GPU side, cool. You can order the shorter ones, stack them higher, or just it'll be more dense. But if you're going to be doing some, you know, AI compute workloads, like I said, Salad, then you have that option with these. And then let's throw another one up here. This one's a mini forum board, and this one goes in, I think, this direction here. And this one is a mini ITX, I believe. Let me double check on that. So this guy here, this motherboard is a mini ITX, and this one I think they call a micro, or I'm pretty sure I want to say super mini, but I'm pretty sure it's a micro ATX. And if you look here, it's just this little bit shorter. I would say that's probably 1.5 inches compared to these guys. And I made this for the MATX and the micro ATX boards. It will not fit the ITX boards, which is this type here, the longer ones, just because I don't think many people are going to be using these for CPU mining. They're probably overkill. You can definitely do the CPU mining with these, and it would make this a lot longer. And the pins, right, these guys right here, these are different. So this pin that is populated right here where the motherboard stays, this pin does not exist on the ITX board. Let's see, so I can probably show you. So if you look here, this pin, this pin doesn't exist. So this pin is on this one, but this one is not. So I would have to leave this pin out, which I could probably do. But like I said, I don't think many people are mining with the these full-size ATX boards. And again, if you feel that I'm wrong and people do mine with these a lot, I can always adjust this. Leave some comments in the comment section below. I love any suggestions anybody has for me tweaking any ideas, making them better. So just let me know. But as of now, I think this is probably the perfect way to go. And yeah, so everything's accessible. You've got the 24 pin here, CPUs on this side. And I guess it really does depend on your motherboard, but usually one side's gonna have the 24 pin, and then it's this side that has a CPU, that's CPU 8 pin. That's usually pretty close to this side. So the next thing that we're gonna be making for this thing is gonna be a modular ITX PSU power supply stacker. So you can stack that alongside this here. I didn't want to connect the power supplies to this this stacking rig because because they're kind of heavy. So the higher you stack them, the probably more wobbly it is. I don't know. I figured it should be its own standalone device or whatever you want to call it. And it would sit off next to this motherboard stacking tray here. I don't even know what to call this yet, so you'll have to forgive me. We're gonna have another video on this, and it's gonna be more of a final video once we have all that. I'll have all the naming conventions down and all that, but I really did just want to get out a video to you guys to show you where we're at with this. Anyway, small rant. So yeah, the power supply, it's gonna be a modular stacking device just like this for the motherboards. And I think that works, and what I'm gonna do is they're gonna be bigger than the standard ITX power supply. So just a little bit bigger, because I know like some of the ones from China might be just a little bit bigger. They are kind of all around the same size, within a couple half inches. But I'll give it like maybe 2 inches of room, because like I said, the ones from China, you can get some weird stuff. weird sizing, weird dimensions on the power supplies from them. And I'm trying to make it as universal as possible. So yeah, we're gonna do that, and that's just gonna stack off to the side here. You'll be able to connect all your cables. There'll be 2 separate modular stacking trays, one for the power supplies, one for the motherboards. But yeah, that's what we've got going on here. Let's get into a little bit of what did I learn on this project. All right, legends, so I learned a ton on this project, and I tried to not waste as much material as possible, but sometimes you can't help that with prototyping. So these are a couple of the motherboard brackets, and this one, I decided I needed more room off of this, so I went from a 5 to 10 millimeter, and then I had this recessed just a little bit because the back of the motherboards, there's a there is this thing that holds the CPU slash fan on, and so that was kind of getting in the way. So I recessed that, but then, like I said, I realized I could just make these go up 5 millimeters higher, call it good, wouldn't have to recess this in part. And then I started messing with like the structural integrity of this frame, of this bracket for the motherboard. So I did a couple trial runs on that. Didn't like any of those. I ended up with this one, and this was the final, just a straight X here, straight X here. And then, yeah, I think that was the final. Yeah, that was the final. And then what I did was round all these corners here to give it a more premium feel, so they're not like sharp edges. It made it seem a little rough. And then I got the idea to number these, which I don't have any of these numbers, but we saw that on the back on the video earlier. I numbered all of these to correspond with the actual legs. So leg 1 matches up with 1 on here, 2, 3, etc. And then I also was playing with how to secure these to not only the motherboard bracket, but the motherboard legs, right? And I did come up with this as one of my first designs. It is more of like a screw and bolt situation. And I thought it was pretty clever, but then, you know, I realized I'm being stupid because these are not strong at all. Like, it'll pop in, all that is good. This is what the threaded screw looks like. It's fun to make, they look cool, right? You know, you make your own threaded screws, bolts and all that. The problem is, that's how easy they break. So easy. And that's because the layer lines are going up, right? And so you are putting stress on the weakest part of it. And like I said before, earlier on in the video, with these new ones, I did the layer lines this way, not going this way. So these are super strong. As you can see, I'm bending these, they are flexing, and I'm hurting my fingers. Bending these, they actually are pretty strong. So we scrapped that idea. And I scrapped that idea after I made a million of them because I'm dumb. And so it is what it is. I kind of want to keep these. I don't know what I'm gonna use them for, but I don't know. They look cool. I don't know, we'll see. I'll probably just chuck them, but I did start off, instead of printing full legs, you know, I started off cutting this in the slicer program just to make sure I could get these legs to fit with these notches and all that. And this is, like I said, that old locking screw and bolt kind of mechanism, which is not strong at all. And so we got those done, and I went through a few iterations of these legs. So I did at first, when I was doing the round bolt and nut situation, I did these like little teardrop holes here. And when you do that, that helps with when you're printing a round circle. Usually the top of the circle will sag. So you're gonna have to either adjust the bolt or nut, whatever you're gonna put in there, you're gonna have to adjust the size of that because this hole is gonna be a little bit smaller than you're intending. But if you put these little teardrop tops and bottoms, that hole will be the perfect size, the size that you want. And I noticed I had to do that on the bottom too, because reason, like, I guess maybe because I wasn't doing super high quality on this, it wasn't an exact round at the bottom. So I did a teardrop on top, bottom. I messed with doing like a recess here, so that when you had these in, and I'm thinking about strength here, right? Like I'm trying to make this, I don't know, like they would do in like an industry that's building stuff, right? Where they want to make sure the product is useful, it works, it's strong, all that sort of stuff. Think of anything that might go wrong and fix that before it goes wrong. And the idea here was with these is if like something were to hit these, because I already knew these aren't very strong. If something was to hit this, I didn't want it to knock off. So by having that recess in there, the cap of this would not, you know, break off, because I could probably demonstrate this right here. This can shear right off. And so my idea was if I recess this, let me just push this through, okay. If I recess this, that isn't a possibility. Like, I mean, that would take some crazy force to just get this top part off. But in the end, I realized these just weren't gonna work. They're just not strong enough. I didn't feel comfortable with it. And I didn't know where I was going, how I was gonna solve that. And I just kind of put the project to the side for a little bit, thought about it, and then the idea kind of came to me. And now I kind of know this for the future, what I can do when I'm trying to do this type of thing, where I gotta kind of make like a screw type of a deal to secure something. And that's probably the same with these. Oh, and these, let's see, these are really tall. I think these are 195 millimeters tall. And I was looking, I was like, man, I don't even think there's a graphics card. I don't have any 40 series or 50 series NVIDIA cards, but I don't think they're that tall with the motherboard. So I just chopped it down to 150. Plus my printer struggled getting to the very top. As you can see here, it got a little wonky. I don't know if it's because it was too tall and maybe the back and forth, because, you know, the higher it gets, I don't know. But we just went ahead and nipped that in the butt, made these 150 millimeters tall instead of 195. What else? And then we went to making these more aesthetically pleasing. I printed these pins and these pins on optimum or premium quality, high quality, fine quality, something like that. They take a little bit longer. For a set of like 16 of these, it's like an hour, and kind of the same thing with these. I think it's like an hour and a half or two. But this is the difference. We're going from this quality, right, where you have this, and I had it originally like this with supports because it was going to be stronger, but I don't think it's going to matter at the end, because it'd have to be pretty catastrophic for something this big to like actually break. I know there's a hole here, but like I said, I think it'd have to be something catastrophic, and you have different problems than the actual the motherboard stacking thing case. I don't know what I'm gonna call it. But yeah, so then we went to this, did it extra fine quality, and we printed it this way. And as you can see, it just looks better, right? You know, I'm trying to create like a real finished product that looks professional and all that sort of stuff. So we went that route with those. Let's see, these are the good ones, trash ones. And then I don't know what I was doing. When I first started to design these, I offset the pin from the head. And my idea was like, then I can print it this way and everything will touch the build plate and I don't need supports. But in doing so, you have two sets of long pins, because you're gonna have this transposed on this side and then on this side. So this head is gonna go, you know, it's gonna be on, I don't even know how to explain this to you guys. So as you can see, the pin here, I don't know if it's on your left or your right, because I'm not sure which way the camera's gonna show, but whatever it's showing, it's not centered, right? So when you have it on this way, it's not centered, it's either going left or right. And then when you have the pin on the other leg this way, it's going the opposite way of this way. So I was like, well, I can't do that, because then that's just too complicated to build the thing, and then you're gonna have like, you're gonna get confused, right? So I was like, well, we'll just put the pin in the center. That way they're all universal. and we'll put supports on. And I really didn't think supports would work on these, but it did. And it's only about 2 millimeters off of the build plate. And it was kind of hard to get the supports on there. It was fighting me a little bit. It was not putting supports, but then I got it to work. And I did like tree supports, and it works. It's a little pain in the butt to get the support material off the build plate, because I'm using the super tack, which I need for these, because these will easily fly off because there's not much connecting to that build plate. But it is what it is. If I do them in batch, then it's literally just sit down for 15 minutes, clear the entire plate, done. So that's that. This is all old stuff. I think that's it. Let's get a little closer look at this actually here. See, like I'm holding it from here. It's fine. It's not going nowhere. Yeah, the motherboards are not technically secured to here, but I don't think they need to be, right? They just got to sit there. So yeah, let me know what you guys think. Any suggestions, anything else I could do, any upgrades to this? Kind of try to make it minimalistic, but a little bit of aesthetic appeal with the black and yellow. And yeah, I think that's it. All right, guys, that's it for this one. If you liked what you see here, maybe consider liking, maybe giving a subscribe. I love doing this, and I can't do it without you guys. I thank you for all the support. See you guys on the next one.